Таны төлөө эх орон чинь юу хийж чадах вэ гэж асуухаас өмнө та өөрөө эх орныхон төлөө юу хийж чадах вэ гэж асуу. Jan Tolgoi.
Сайн байцгаана хүнд үзэгчдээ. Өнөөдөр орой манай defacto-ны түүхийн зочноор Oyu Tolgoi компани гүйцэтгэх захирал, шинэ самжилгдсан гүйцэтгэх захирал McRae Cameron оролцож байна. Good evening.
Good evening, Jago.
So I can call you Cameron, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Cameron, welcome to Mongolia.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your first interview to Mongol media. You are from Australia. You have been working for Rio Tinto for many years. Please introduce you to Mongolians.
Thank you very much, Jago, for having me on the show firstly. And I've only been here a couple of months, but a little bit about me. I am Australian. I'm married. I have 5 children, 3 of my own and 2 stepchildren. My oldest daughter is 28 and my youngest daughter is 14, and I have and I have 3 boys in between, and they've kept me very busy, but they're also a source of great enjoyment for me.
Cameron McRae 51 настай, Австралийн Мельбурн хотод төрсөн. Тэрээр Австрали болон Замби улсад боловсрол эзэмшихтэй худалдааны бакалаврын зэрэг, бизнесийн удирдлагын магистрийн зэрэг тус хамгаалсан. Ажлынхаа анхны гарааг Австралийн BHP компанийн худалдааны албанаас эхэлж, дараа нь бетон бүтээгдэхүүний Humes үйлдвэрт шилжин ажиллаж, удалгүй тэндээ мужийн зэрэглэлтэй нэгтлэн бодогч болон дэвшжээ. Тэндээсээ зэсийн уурхаагаар алдартай Папуа Шинэ Гвинейн Буганвил мужид суурьшихаар Австралиас нүүсэн. Буганвилийн хөгжлийн корпорацид бизнесийн хөгжлийн асуудлыг эрхлэн 1 жил ажилласныхаа дараа Буганвил Zis Limited компанид шилжин оржээ. Тус компани дотоод аудит системийн боловсруулалтыг хариуцсан ажиллаж байгаад төлөвлөлтийн менежер болжээ. 5 жилийн дараа Cameron дээрх компанийнхаа Тайван дахь бизнесийн хөгжлийн асуудал хариуцсан менежер шилжиж ажилласан бөгөөд уг компанид зарагдсны дараа Мельбурн дахь CRA Limited компанийн стратегийн бодлогын тасагт шилжижээ. 1995 онд RTZ хязгаарлагдмал хариуцлагатай компани CRA Limited компаниуд нэгдэх хөрөнгийн бирж дээр хамтран гарах ажлыг эрхэлсэн бөгөөд 1995 онд RTZ хязгаарлагдмал хариуцлагатай компани CRA Limited компаниуд нэгдэх хөрөнгийн бирж дээр хамтран гарах ажлыг эрхэлсэн багт ажилласан аж. 1997 онд Cameron гэр бүлийн хамт Brisbane хот руу нүүн суурьшихтаа Business System Group компани байгуулсан бөгөөд тус компани нь Rio Tinto-гийн салбар нэгжүүдэд SAP систем боловсруулж, суурилуулах ажлыг хариуцсан хийж байжээ. 2001 оноос Rio Tinto-гийн Австрали дахь нүүрсний салбар компанид санхүү хариуцсан захирал, уг компанийн хөгжлийн ерөнхий менежер, Хэлгэрийг уурхайн 2 жилийн өргөтгөлийн төслийн ерөнхий захирлаар тус ажиллаж байв. Түүний удирдлагын үед дээрх уурхайн нүүрс олборлолтын хэмжээ 2 дахин өсжээ. Тэрээр 2006 онд Зимбабве дахь Morovo Diamonds компани ерөнхий захирлаар томилогдож ажилласныхаа дараа 2008 онд Richards Bay Minerals компанид ерөнхий захирал, гүйцэтгэх ерөнхий захирлаар тус томилогджээ.
You went recently back home, right, at Christmas?
Yes.
You went to Brisbane.
Yes, that's right.
What's going on? What is with the flood?
Well, it's been terrible. It really was. The flood hadn't started when I left. It really built up in the next couple of days. But there were huge rains over a couple of weeks, and the dams filled and the rivers had a lot of trouble sort of discharging. And then we had a combination of more rain and king tides, because there's some tidal rivers there, and the water had nowhere to go, and we saw many thousands of people, tens of thousands of people displaced. I believe the death count was about 20, and there's still people that haven't been found.
Your home family okay?
Yeah, we were lucky, but a few of our friends have lost their houses, and we feel for them, and we'll be there to help them.
The other day, Prime Minister of Australia was appealing those who's living uphill to help those who's in downhill.
Yeah, that's right.
How did it work?
Well, basically, friends have taken friends who have lost their houses into their houses. There have been a lot of temporary shelters that have been built, and there's going to be a lot of pressure on accommodation for months to come while houses are fixed up.
So So now you are back in a country which is the opposite of temperature. What, 40, 60 degree difference?
Probably 70 or 80 degrees.
So as soon as you come back, you went also to this hike?
Yes, I've been to site already, and it was cold down there, but they're making amazing progress with the work down
Tell
in
us
Java.
about that. The media said yesterday, according to our government source, that your project is going to complete earlier than planned. That's good news for us. Please tell us, what is this about?
Yeah, that's correct. The original budget was to have the first concentrate shipped within 33 months, and basically through the hard work of the construction team and work that was done during the investment agreement negotiation period, we were able to get off to a fast start, and it's now 28 months, and we're hoping to have the concentrator, which is like our production plant, up and running in August, and probably first concentrate being shipped out by the end of 2012.
Wow, so even within this year, it will start to produce the first concentrate?
Not this year. This year we're creating the mine, the open cut, and we're building quite a number of facilities, including an international airport. And we will, by August, we're hoping that we'll be able to take mined material and put it through the concentrator.
I understand there are two shafts. One is completed, the other is not being completed.
Yes.
The other is for logistics, the other is for people, right?
That's correct, yeah. The shaft one has been built for a while, and that's sort of the entry shaft now for a lot of lateral development work. Where
many trucks go inside and keep moving, no? Inside,
the ground. Yes, they go down the shaft in parts and they're assembled underneath, and they're the production units and drilling units that are used for basically building the tunnels. And
so those tunnels are made already?
They're being made. Being made. We'll actually take 20 odd years to build the tunnels that are needed.
20?
20 years of development work.
Complete things.
Yes.
I understand these trucks of 50, 40 tons will be running in the depth of 1,500 meters, right?
Yeah, between 700 metres to 1,300 metres. There's a couple of levels that are being worked at.
Amazing.
It is amazing. But the first concentrate will actually come from our open cut mine. So there's a part of the deposit is close to the surface and much easier to get at. So
what's
we'll be mining
the name of this open pit?
Well, it's an open cut. I have to go and find out what the geologists have called it. But that will feed the concentrator at 100,000 tonnes of feed per day.
That means you can compare it with Erdinet, the existing, who is producing the concentrate. In terms of the size of plant, is it of the same size?
It will be larger than Erdinet. I haven't been to Erdinet. I understand it's a very good mid-sized copper mine. I'm looking forward to going. But OT, the size of the resource of OT is very difficult for people to comprehend. The resource we have is the second largest in the world, and when the mine is up and operating, will be between the second and third largest copper mining business in the world.
The concentrate level, how many percent of copper will be in that concentrate?
It varies based on which area of the mine we're working through, but you could say roughly 30% copper and some gold will be attached.
Erdinet is 25%, I understand.
That could be right, yeah.
30%, 1/3. How long this concentrate plant will be working until the smelter is made?
Well, the concentrator will be up and running at the end of 2012, and the commitment in the investment agreement is for us to study a smelter, and the government has aspirations that a smelter will be built, but we need to go through the study phase, and that's important.
How long, say, you started this study in 12, and how long it will take time to make that smelter?
That's a good question. Usually there's a lot of commercial issues that have to be solved because the smelting business is one that relies on a lot of factors to be right, and it needs all of those factors to be right, and that's why there's a lot of requirement to do the studies. But I would think that to understand the feed types that could go into that, because Erdenet and Oyu Tolgoi could feed the smelter, you need to work out what's the right technology.
So the idea is it is to be fed by Oyu Tolgoi and Erdenet both to the same smelter.
It's really up to the owner of the smelter to determine where they get their feed from. But Mongolia is a very prospective country, and there may even be other copper deposits that are developed that could also feed a future smelter.
In terms of demand, China would rather prefer to have concentrate,
Sure.
because they have on-plant smelters,
Yes.
rather than the ready-made copper, right? Okay. Well, so you are in charge of the largest project in the country, okay? And this is the most big hope and expectation of Mongolians. We imagine we want to see prosperous Mongolia, and one of the key is your project. You are in charge. Altogether, how much investment it will need?
It's a good question. The estimate that's been approved is $6 billion US. Obviously, it might cost a little bit more or a little bit less, depending on how the construction goes. But the estimate is $6 billion.
This $6 billion you have raised it already.
We need to go out and get project finance of between 2 and 3 billion, and that's an important issue. But the shareholders, other than the government, are providing the funds other than the project financing. So they'll provide between 3 and 4 billion of the 6 billion of their own money.
So, okay. Whatever possible from the capital market is raised already?
No, it hasn't been raised, and that's an important issue because when you go to the markets, you need to have a good proposition for the markets.
Okay, from the technical, before going to technicality again, there was a certain debate issue among Ivanhoe Mines and Rio Tinto on the shares ownership. Which level is it now?
Well, I believe that a lot of the issues between the shareholders have been resolved. In December, the shareholders agreed a package that would see Rio Tinto put more money into Ivanhoe, which would come directly towards the building of the project. Because as you know, Ivanhoe is the direct shareholding party in OT with the government, but Rio Tinto owns a significant share of Ivanhoe.
Yes, this is one of the amazing things for us, because two companies as shareholders are suing each other at the court, but nevertheless the project is keep going, right?
Yeah, I don't think they're suing each other anymore.
Okay.
That was an issue that was, I believe, resolved late last year.
Okay, all right. What is the final estimation of the reserve? Because it's keep changing.
Well, at the moment, and I'd have to look for the numbers for you exactly, but you make the point that it's changing. At the moment, we have a reserve that is capable of operating or servicing the mine for 60 years. We're continuing to do exploration with the lease boundaries, and we are already working in areas of mineralisation. And if they are to be converted to reserves, then this mine could go for as long as 100 years.
100 years.
Yes.
Certainly, we talk about commodity. It has a cyclical price value, say, and depending on that, moods all around the world keep changing. And which was the case the recent day in Mongolia. How do you see that?
The mood. Sorry, the mood is...
The mood, depending on the politicians, the countries, depending on the price.
Sure.
Because commodity price is cyclical.
Sure.
And we are on the top of, or tight, you say, wave. And then the other thing, because some suggested now to increase our royalty, etc. What is your view on that?
Well, you asked a number of questions, but I'll talk about the price first. The price is very strong at the moment. I've worked in the copper industry in years gone past when the price has been about 50 cents. It's currently around $4.20. And the gold price was $300 back then, and the gold price is around $1,400. So, it's a good time to be a copper miner. And it is cyclical, but I don't think you'll see the copper price retreating to those low levels anymore. When you're in a mining business, the key thing for you is to have a low cost position and to be highly productive. If you have that, then you're in a position where you can weather the low points in the cycle. You don't want to have a high cost profile when the price is low.
And now also the people keep asking about the technical conditions, the economic feasibility study, which is according to our law to be approved. And in that process, what's going on with that now?
Well, the feasibility study was approved to build a mine with a concentrator of 100,000 tonnes per day, made up of an open cut and an underground. So that's been approved, and that's what we're building. The cost increased somewhat from the estimates that were made a couple of years ago, and where the board of directors are reviewing that cost increase actually tomorrow. So.
What was the driver of this cost increase?
There were a number of drivers. The cost of international commodities like steel and other price inputs. But as part of the investment agreement negotiations, we also agreed to make some payments to the government, and that makes up a component of that as well.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about another concern that local press addresses. People also want to know details is about water. Water reserve. Where is it coming from? How do you use it? Do you recycle it? Is it enough to maintain the process, etc.? Please address these issues.
Sure. As most of your viewers will know, the mine is located in the Gobi Desert, one of the most arid environments in the world. So there is obviously no surface water that can be taken advantage of. So when we knew that we had a potential mine, we knew that we had to find water. So we did hydrological exploration, and the geologists were fortunate enough to find a large underground resource. Now that's what we'll be tapping into to provide water. The furthest bore is about 80 kilometres, so we have to build a big pipeline to bring the water to the mine.
How big the pipeline would be?
Well, I think when the mine, the concentrator is operating, we could be looking at 1,000 litres per second being shipped from the underground reservoir to the mine.
Okay.
So reprocessing, recycling of water is a critical element of the design of the mine.
But once it is used during the flotation process, it is recycled as well?
As much as it can be, as much as possible, yes.
Then the question is, if you are taking that much from that underground reservoir of water, what will be the local impact on the surface in that area, 80 kilometers away from the project?
Sure. Well, the major users of the land are the herders, and they have some surface wells, some of which the company has provided for them, and it's important that we monitor the performance of those wells. But we have in the investment agreement a provision that protects the livelihood of herders. So if there is an impact on that, well then it's the responsibility of the mine to provide water to the herders and their animals.
In those areas where you found the water,
yes,
are there many wells at the moment before using this water?
Yeah, well we're not drawing much water from the wells at the moment. Obviously we have to build the pipeline and put the pumps in place, and then we'll test how well the pumps are able to extract the water from the wells.
So you have not yet done the wells in the places?
No.
I understand when you do this plan, you have certain ecology experts' evaluation of the project.
Yes.
Have you made it?
Yes, we've done the studies, and those studies have been submitted to the government.
Yeah. Which is approved already?
They're approved, but one of the things that's important is for us to do test work in the early days of the well being established, to see what the impact on the reservoir is and any impact on the herders. So we want to get an early picture of what the impacts are, and if there are some impacts, then we'll deal with those so that there are no impacts on the herders.
Okay. You have been working for many years for Rio Tinto. Have you been working to similar water-wise conditions?
I've worked in South Africa and Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
Where water is always an issue. Sometimes you have too much water, and sometimes you don't have enough. When you don't have enough, you're obviously very conscious of how you use that. Rio Tinto is operating mines in very remote and arid areas, and this is a common issue that it has to deal with.
So with this water, you start the smelter, and now you have a $3 billion. You have already out of 6, and you start the operation. And in terms of labor, obviously, it's an important issue. Altogether, how many people really at the end are going to work?
It's a good question. The workforce plan is to have between 3,500 and 4,000 direct employees servicing the mine. But there'll be many more employees employed through contractors who provide either a direct or an indirect service to the business, or who provide goods and services that are made in Mongolia or provided in Mongolia. So the multiplier effect from the business is quite huge, and I believe we have a model that...
Out of those direct employees, about, say, 3,000, okay? How many percent-wise will be a Mongolian?
Very good question. Under the investment agreement, it's a requirement that a minimum of 90% are Mongolians.
90%.
But our objective is for us to exceed that well. Really what we want to do is to have minimal reliance on expatriates or foreigners in the business.
How are you doing on that now?
Well, it's early days. We have probably 500 employees that are direct OT employees. Yes, and we're a little bit under the 90% quota, but we're very conscious of, as we build the workforce up, to not exceed that ratio.
So what happens if supply of Mongolian labor do not meet your qualification requirements?
Yeah, well, that's right. But if we don't get involved in training Mongolians, we won't have the quality workforce we need. So we're investing with the government in training facilities and training programs.
Training for whom?
For Mongolians.
In which profession?
In basically all mining-related trades, and looking at supporting people with scholarships for mining-related professional work.
So those for blue-collar workers, labor, basic labor, do you train, this training you organize with the institutions, or you do this on the spot, or in Ulaanbaatar, or how?
A mixture. This is being done through government ministries as well, and they're overseeing the plans and giving guidance on the plans. But we're investing in a number of vocational training centres. So we'll be using existing facilities, building new facilities, and in some cases we're even sending employees who have been recruited to ERDNET to get experience at ERDNET.
Okay. Yeah. What are the problems currently you see in that process?
Well,
so that it comes to your table.
Sure. One problem is the volume of people that we have to train. In a short period of time, a large number. I don't have the exact numbers, but I've been told that the training requirements over the next couple of years could see as many as 9,000 people receive some form of training. Obviously some of those are for construction, and part of our agreement with the government is to train people who might not even work for us, but who could end up working for the other mines or other major infrastructure projects in Mongolia.
So those certificates that Mongolian workers will receive will be identical to the ones international-wise?
Well, I would understand that the standard would be to Mongolian standards. But obviously what's important for us with our workforce is that we train our Mongolian workers to international standards, because we want to be, the most competitive copper mine in the world.
Yeah, say a BHP helped with one vocational training university, they call it, in Chile, and the graduates of this university, even the
mining engineers,
whoever, everybody is qualified at the level that they can be accepted all around the world.
Yes.
What do you do in that sense?
Well, the Chilean mining industry is huge, as you know, and they have invested, and the Chilean mining industry is probably the major engine of the economy there. And I think the thing that would be fantastic for Mongolia is for it to grow its mining industry to that extent as well. Now, at the moment, we have Erdenet, we have some small mines, we have one large mine coming with OT.
My point is, at the end, we do expect with Rio Tinto arriving after Ivanhoe, or maybe it was a majority owner of Ivanhoe. That's what the expectation would be down the road, so that Mongolians, we go around abroad and work, and then they are qualified by Rio Tinto. That's standard. Okay, another infrastructure issue.
Sure.
Electricity.
Yes.
Electric power. How much you need, where are you taking it now from, and what are you going to do?
At the moment, to build the project, we need about up to 30 megawatts, which is being provided by diesel gensets which are on site, with fuel being sourced through Petrovis. When we move into commissioning and operation, we need about 220 megawatts, and we will source that through China as a short-term approach. As you know, we're very close to the Chinese border, about 80 kilometres, and the long-term solution will be the building of a power station in the
site?
Either at the site or Oyu Tolgoi.
Oyu Tolgoi is doing their own power station now.
Well, we've entered into an agreement to do a study with Erdenet about a power station, obviously to suit our mine, but the coal will come from that area.
Okay.
So we need to work at the synergies.
I mean, at Oyu Tolgoi, the Mongolian private part of it, took place by Energy Corporation.
Yes.
They are doing their own power stations. And then the other part is, that's what you talk about, right? So we do expect what? We have one station now, another larger will be you and Mongolian government, right?
Well, we will study the best place to put a power station, the size, how it fits into the grid. Those are the issues to study over the next 6 months.
How about transport of concentrate?
Transport from concentrate will be via the national highway to the Chinese border. The natural market at this point in time is into China, and we're looking at what's the best ways then of getting it to customers.
Who's making the road now?
We will.
Does it
build
match
a paved
with the one?
highway.
Does it match with the one from another private Oyu Tolgoi? The road they are being made.
I believe that they've got their own road, but it will join up with our road at a certain point, and we will use a common border facility for exporting our products.
Do you bring anything currently from China through that part of the border?
Yes, we do.
Through the Mongolian border, you bring what?
Well, it's a Mongolian-China border post.
Yes.
And basically all of the imported requirements for building the mine we are bringing in through China. Okay, either they've been made in China or made overseas but shipped through a Chinese port to the border post, and then passing Mongolian customs.
Obviously this is shorter and more cheaper to bring.
That's the shortest route to bring it from the Chinese port.
What do you think about this railroad discussions going on in the country about the gauge?
Jargle, you've asked me a question I'm not an expert in, but I obviously understand it's as much a political as an economic issue.
What is market capitalization of the Ivanhoe than the part of Mongolia total?
Well, you're asking me questions I'm not that fully equipped to answer. Okay. All I know is that OT is a key part of the Ivanhoe portfolio.
Mm-hmm. And Rio Tinto?
Well, Rio Tinto is a very large international mining company, but Rio is very excited to be a part of developing OT and being a part of growing the Mongolian economy and society as part of this project.
I have seen recently all Rio Tinto executives came to Mongolia.
That's right.
And I was told it is not happening. How come? Why?
No, it did happen. It happened in the first week of December. Tom Albanese, who's our Chief Executive Officer, brought his whole executive committee, and we took them to site. We also took them to meet important leaders within in Ulaanbaatar. And, it was an excellent visit.
Okay, before, on the project, one question.
Sure.
What you would tell to those Mongolians who hopes to work for your project in terms of qualification and the procedure to make sure that it is smooth, there is not artificial or not artificial hindrances there. What you would tell to those Mongolians, workers who wants to work with you?
Yeah, well, as I understand it, Jargal, there's many people who have aspirations to be an employee at OT. And there's probably going to be more applicants than there are jobs. But we have well-defined procedures for applying for jobs. We advertise them broadly. We believe we've got a fair process of selecting people. The only thing that we have in place that gives a preference is to people in the local South Gobi area to help build stronger communities. There's an employment preference for certain people.
From the South Gobi, from Hamburg, Somon.
Hamburg, mainly Hamburg, Somon.
How do you see the future of Hamburg?
Well, I see it as exciting.
How big will it be?
Well, that's a difficult one to predict, but a number of years ago the population was 2,500. It's already, I believe, about 5,000. And, a lot of the employment-aged people from Hamburg are employed at the mine. And, the opportunity to grow small businesses in Hamburg is very significant, and then for there to be employment opportunities there as well, I think is exciting. But we also, are reaching an agreement with the South Gobi Regional Development Council, looking at how we can have a broader impact, not just in Hamburg.
You are part of this AITI, right? Extractive Industry Transparency.
Yes.
So you are reporting what are you doing in Mongolia to the NGOs, to this report, and to the government, right?
That's great.
Okay, a final question, not about Mongolia, about Zimbabwe you were working, where they have announced the nationalization of the project you were working.
I was.
So, how was it?
And I met with President Mugabe on one occasion to discuss the issue.
Robert Mugabe.
Robert Mugabe.
How was it?
It was a very interesting meeting. The nationalisation debate in Zimbabwe has been going for many, many years. And I think the key point that you should remember is that the Zimbabwean mining industry went downhill whenever it talked about nationalisation. And whenever
not only the mining industry, the whole economy.
The whole economy collapsed. And I was there in 2006 and 2007 when the inflation rate was many millions of %.
Yes.
And after hyperinflation that exceeded that in Germany in the 30s.
30s, yes.
Yeah, so it was an amazing time. But basically the economy crumbled, and the importance of land rights and title over assets that can have security, that can be able to get bank finance is incredible, and that's what Zimbabwe lost. So even though it might nationalise mines, that doesn't mean they'll be able to raise project finance.
You have left the office? The whole foreign team have left the project?
No, actually Rio Tinto still is managing a diamond mine in Zimbabwe, and they're doing a good job. But it's difficult to get the finance to expand the business.
Okay. So you have been all in hot countries, now in a cold country.
But sometimes
what do you do in Mongolia as exercise or as your leisure time?
Well, I haven't had a lot of leisure time because I've been very busy since I've hit the ground. But what I'm hoping to do is to find some people to play golf with.
Great.
To do some exercise.
Not that difficult to find it.
So, I want to keep fit. But I want to get around and meet a lot of Mongolian people, understand Mongolia a lot better than I currently do. I think that'll help me do my job better. And from what I've seen so far, I think I'll enjoy doing that.
Thank you very much. And what you do and your success, the success of your project is success of Mongolia. And we wish you good luck and hard work, a lot of fun.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Camera.
It's been a pleasure.
Үзэгчдээ өнөөдөр Авин Хо mine company Oyu Tolgoi төслийн гүйцэтгэх захирал McRae Cameronтэй ярилцлага гэлээ. Та бүхэн ярилцлагыг үзэж таалагдсан байх гэж найдаж байна. Баярлалаа. Баярлалаа.